also known as the well-mannered teenager and the snowflake. And guess what? Bethesda has proven itself to be yet another fool once again. I just can't. I can't. Bethesda, like, why? Why, Bethesda? Why are you doing this to yourselves? Like, why are you ruining reputation anymore? Oh, alright, so let's get right to it. Bethesda has stupidly ruined that epic Metal Doom Eternal soundtrack. Now, before we start, I'm going to be really lazy about this video, but just because that music is pretty technical stuff, and very subjective on how people interpret the music, or actually just in terms of anything in life. But with this particular article, I want to read it word for word, okay? Just so I don't tamper with anything further, because Mick Gordon deserves the utmost respect, because this guy is literally a genius. This composer is the man, myth, the legend, and he's just everything, all of the above. He's the reason why Doom 2016 did so well. And Doom Eternal soundtrack, don't get me wrong, was amazing, but I didn't know this, and it actually blows my mind, and we will find out why soon enough. Okay, here we go. Doom Eternal soundtrack has reportedly been mixed by Bethesda in such a way that a lot of the tracks lose their dynamic range. According to Mick Gordon, the game's composer on Twitter, it is easy to tell which tracks he did mix by their dynamic waveform. Bethesda seems entirely set on ruining everything they touch these days. These are the bullet points of the article. This article is really not that long, so we'll get through it. Part of the legacy supported by games like Doom Eternal is the music. One of the most interesting elements of the original game was the soundtrack. Booting that first level with those significant guitar riffs, you could tell you were in for something special. That same feeling carries over to the soft reboot of Doom 2016. You can literally hear the digitized chainsaw sounds that Mick Gordon used in the music. It's a suitably driving metal soundtrack. However, in their ongoing quest to ruin everything, Bethesda has managed to butcher that music. Okay, so this picture right here, we're gonna go through that. I just want you guys to see. Notice how Doom 2016 is on the left, and on the right is Doom Eternal. As you can tell, that the range is quite significant. Here's a comparison between the original BFG division from Doom 2016's official soundtrack, left, versus the BFG 2020 remix on Eternal soundtrack from today, right. Notice how the wavelengths in BFG 2020 form a nearly perfectly straight bar versus the original with more definition. And then Mick Gordon goes to say, I didn't mix those and wouldn't have done that. You'll be able to spot the small handful of tracks I mixed. Meat Hook, Command, and Control, etc. Doom Eternal and Mick Gordon deserve better. Mick Gordon is a musical genius. The way he remixes industrial sounds into his music is legendary. Without him, Doom Eternal probably wouldn't exist, at least not in the way it does now. Doom 2016 was a great game, but the music helped make it great. Everything came out on Twitter when someone noticed something odd about the music in Doom Eternal. The waveform for the second game was all completely flat. Basically, this means the music has no dynamic range at all, and all the instruments are on the same volume level. Effectively, Bethesda has just completely butchered the music in Doom Eternal. Now, rather than sounds mixed together to create new and interesting music, they all strive for dominance in a way Mick Gordon would have never intended. Bethesda has made it even worse. That's not even the worst part. Doom Eternal may be the last game in the series to benefit from Mick Gordon's stellar work. As well as butchering his work, Bethesda appears to have burned the relationship with him. A thread on Reset Era documents text and comments from Gordon. In these comments, he talks about how he is unlikely to work on any future Doom titles. More than that, he gives us clues that the marketing department might be responsible for at least some of the terrible butchering of Doom Eternal's tracks. Honestly, if Mick Gordon doesn't want to continue to work with a company that has violently mangled his work, it's hard to blame him. Bethesda allowing a marketing department anywhere near creative elements of a game is a sign that their decline into money-hungry mediocrity is much further along than we thought. Okay, so that's it for the article. So now that you guys know the context of the situation and why it's so dire, now you understand why I had to make a video about it. This actually is complementary to the video I did that talked about how Doom's lack of metal by this really simple, safe commercial. It was like some launch commercial for the game that actually advertises for Twitch, or it did, or on TV. It was some really crappy like rap metal mix or something like this. Something that Mick Gordon would never do, because that's not the type of guy he is. He's smarter than that for this kind of game. So this bothers me quite a bit because, listen, you let the guy do his job, you let him be a professional, you let him create something that he already did for you, And you already know, because of him, his help is the reason why Doom 2016 sold so much and did so well. Now you're double dipping here with him. Now you're getting a little too greedy, because the guy did his job. He was passionate about his work, of course. You could see it in the videos describing what has gone through the process of making Doom Eternal's soundtrack. And it's amazing. Like, it's amazing. It's fantastic. And this is a guy that takes his work seriously, just like all artists do. And, I mean, just think of it, guys. For anybody who's a YouTuber, or some guy who does editing, or creates music, or draws, can you just imagine you do this entire project? This entire project, you spend, I don't know, every breathing moment of the next, like, year or 2 years working on this. And then, out of the blue, these motherfuckers... Well, I wouldn't say out of the blue entirely, but bear with me. These motherfuckers go out of their way to tamper something that you created from your imagination, this original music that no one has really ever heard before. And how would you feel if somebody did that? If someone just went on your beautiful art piece of whatever you created that was just like this, that signifies so much, and then he just starts scribbling on the side saying, like, yeah, I think this is better. Or it's like, you know what, let's take the color out and let's go from there. And then you sell it without even, like, proper consent or anything. Like, just imagine just someone tampering with your stuff like that. You wouldn't be very happy, would you? You'd be pissed. You'd be livid. Going over somebody's head, supposedly going over someone's head like that, would cause anybody to be furious. You don't do that to somebody's work. You put your full trust in the man and you let him do it. The question is, why would you let him work on the soundtrack for Doom Eternal when you're just gonna fuck it up in the end? Honestly, why would you even allow it to begin with? Like, that's not right. It's either you do it, you give him the creative freedom that he deserves, or you don't do it at all. Okay? There's no meeting halfway, okay? You're dubbing this game down than what it already is. It's already a fucking action-packed monstrosity of a game, way more hyperactive than Doom 2016. And you're gonna get rid of some dynamic range, which, by the way, if you don't know what dynamic range, the best way is to look on Google, but I'm gonna go with my interpretation since I play music myself. Dynamic range just means none of the music is compressed to one, as it says, to one wavelength. You know, you honestly think a drum set would be on the same wavelength as like a violin or something? No, a drum set is all over the place. Or major guitar riffs, just ripping and tearing through whatever octave you want to think of, going through the decibel roof. But because it's been almost like flatlined per se, safe, toned down, that it seems like it's just like, I don't know, music you make at nighttime instead of like in your own room, being extra quiet with your sounds and stuff. You know, if you're playing live in front of like your computer recording and something, and there's people in the room, and it's like you would play really quietly, right? But if you're like in a studio, you want to go fucking all out. You want to go fucking scream as loud as you can, and no one can stop you, right? But the fact is, the difference there is that this was done post-edit. Now, if you're recording quietly before you start editing, that's different. That was intended. But this is a unfortunate scenario, and like I said, folks, I may have butchered what I was just saying, maybe, but I hope you guys get why this is such a problem. They don't need to do this. I get it. Bethesda owns its software. Like, I completely understand. It's their whatever project that they're publishing. I get it. They seem like it might be a little too edgy or too hardcore, because maybe Doom 2016 was too hardcore. Like I said, okay, that's fine. Then don't have him come back then. Don't have him come back even for this sequel, for Doom Eternal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so messed up. It's so messed up to do that. You don't mess with greatness. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Anyway, folks, I hope you did enjoy this article. I want to know what you guys think. Artists out there, I want to know if this has ever happened to you, or if this would happen to you. What are your thoughts? Like, how would you react if this would happen to you? Over your head, or under your nose, or behind your back, or however way you want to say do it. Because, like I said myself, I'm a YouTube creator. I'm an entertainer on Twitch. supposedly. And then I'm a musician and a writer. If anybody ever tampered with any of my music or anything, there'll be hell to pay. And you better have a damn great explanation. Otherwise, I ain't coming back or ever being your friend again, or however you want to put it. The relationship and trust we had is fucking gone. Thanks again, folks. NikoTheLegend. I'll see you out there, Pathfinders.